Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm sure people will slowly trickle in, but hello to anyone who's watching virtually. Welcome to the Revitalize Broadway Lemon Grove Coalition meeting. I'm Serafina Eberhardt with the Institute for Public Strategies. We have Mia, our prevention specialist, here with us from the East, and we have David here with us tonight. Um, so, just a little update as people are walking in. Please sign in the back. Thank you. David's going to be taking over for me in the East region as of right now, yes, because our wonderful BDI program manager is pregnant and on maternity leave, and so I'm filling in for her, so David's going to fill in for me. So, hey, we got a hot mic. No. But yeah, you guys are in amazing hands. Obviously, he was here from the inception, so it'll be like riding a bike. um, and then we have our co-chairs. We have Chelsea with us. We have Manola. We have Jules. Jack is in the back doing our tech stuff. There's Jack. Hi, Jack. And I think the co-chairs want to say a little something for Steve. Our other co-chair, he has stepped down, so I'll let you guys do your little thank you.
So at this time right now, Steve has a lot more going on with work, and he has stepped down from that co-chair position. So he did let us know after the October meeting that it's just a lot for him right now. But recognize that he has been here from the beginning, and he has really helped put in a lot of that collaboration. Honestly, a lot of, and I know this is going to sound strange, but a lot of words and things for what we were going to go off and say to other people and things like that. That's a lot of his input. So very sad to lose him. Very grateful that we had him. And if you haven't tried his sourdough, it is the Shiznit, and he sells it every Thursday over at the oh, an Elevated now. That's right. Yes, an Elevated. But you can pick it up at Elevated now. Is it in any of the treats, or is it any toasted? Can we get it any other way? Okay, so you can buy the loaf. That's still better than waiting till every Thursday because some of us work. So it makes it a little bit harder. Yes. So just a real quick round of applause for Steve. And Steve, if you get a chance to watch, you will be missed. But as you know, sometimes we fly away and we come back, don't we, Jules? um, so we will be looking to fill that position again because we really do like having the 5-person on there. So we will be looking to fill that position, and we do have a couple of people in mind. So we will keep you abreast of everything by the December meeting. But yes, so thank you very much to him. What else do we have? Yeah, hold on.
Just want to welcome everybody here to the neighborhood. If it's your first time, the restrooms are down the hall to the very back and on the left. And if you're thirsty, there's water cups and a water fountain that's filtered and chilled right there. If you want to make a donation to help the neighborhood in our community service, you can just give us a donation of any size, and we'll give you the markers, and you can grab a mug and write your name on it and be one of the neighbors in the neighborhood. I think that's it.
I was going to say it's a $5 donation, but but feel free to add a zero. So our first speaker tonight, and I'm so excited to have her, Kathy from Dark Sky San Diego. We actually cross paths a lot because of our conservation work, so this is like really fun to be able to have her here and to really be able to speak about the importance of something we don't always think about, and that is the lights that are around us and how they make a difference. So without further ado, here is Kathy.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Oh, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for the opportunity to, again, just talk about the importance of dark skies. So I am Kathy Hansel. I've always enjoyed gazing up at the moon and the stars in the sky, and I started researching light pollution back in about 2016 when I noticed the city of San Diego putting in the new LED street lights, which were very white and very bright, and also had some neighbors putting in a lot of lighting, and I'm noticing, it's all coming into my house at night. So as a breast cancer survivor, I am committed to raising awareness about the harmful effects of exposure to artificial light at night. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I am with Dark Sky San Diego County, and they are a volunteer chapter of Dark Sky International. Now, Dark Sky has led the global movement to protect the night from light pollution since its founding as the International Dark Sky Association back in 1988. Our impact spans more than 70 countries. Actually, I just updated this earlier today, more than 135 countries as of our last update in our global conference, which took place like within the last 2 weeks. Dark Sky has certified more than 250 international dark sky places in 39 countries across 6 continents. Dark Sky's mission is to restore the nighttime environment and protect communities and wildlife from light pollution through outreach, advocacy, and education. Again, I'm with Dark Sky San Diego County, a volunteer chapter. I speak on behalf of our chapter and as myself as a person. I do not speak on behalf of Dark Sky International. In case you weren't aware, San Diego County is home to 3 international dark sky places. That includes Borrego Springs, which was the second community in the whole world to get certified following Flagstaff in Arizona. The Anza Borrego Desert State Park, which is currently the 3rd largest state park in the country, is certified as an international dark sky park. And then in May of 2021, Julian got certified as the 30th international dark sky community in the world. And they're only the 2nd in California, which is interesting. You would think California would have more dark sky places. And I know there are several in the works, so more coming. So what's next? We're working on the Laguna Mountain Recreation Area. We're actually trying to certify the whole Descanso Ranger District of the Cleveland National Forest, and that just was it turned out to be a little bit too big of an effort, so we scaled it back. We're working with the U.S. Forest Service on that. The unincorporated community of Fallbrook has submitted an application to become an international dark sky community. Oops. And I put on there the city of San Diego, because we're talking about the sky, right? The sky's the limit. Anything can happen, right? And to that point, dark skies aren't just for national parks and rural communities. Us city folk need dark skies, for our health and well-being, and urban wildlife needs darkness, natural darkness, to survive and thrive. It doesn't have to be this way. We can change how we light and bring back the night. Now, Mission Trails Regional Park is a very large park, and they're actually expanding it. They have a lot of programs throughout the month. The San Diego Astronomy Association does star parties at 2 different places in Mission Trails Regional Park. And they have nighttime activities like bat walks and summer nighttime walks. And we've actually had our group and several other dark sky groups have actually had a couple events at Mission Trails Regional Park Visitor Center. They are currently, because of all that, seeking Urban Night Sky Place certification. So you can't see the Milky Way at Mission Trails yet, but they do qualify because of their other dark sky activities. And I did say yet because if we changed how we lit around that park, we could potentially bring back the Milky Way. It's above our own backyards. We just can't see it because of all the light on the ground. Some myths about the dark sky movement. We're all astronomers. Nope, I am not an astronomer. I have no desire to be an astronomer. I have a small telescope, and people say, well, that makes you an astronomer. Well, I have some Band-Aids in the hall closet, too. That does not make me a doctor, okay? So we come from all walks of life, different professions and interests. I actually work in IT, we're mid-career retirees, high school students. Another myth is that we want complete darkness. Well, that's, no lights at all. Well, not quite. That would be foolish. We encourage responsible use of outdoor lighting. Look at this great t-shirt I have. You can buy these online from Dark Skies. Support our effort. We want to light what you need when you need it. And Dark Skies' harmonious effort, approach to sustainable lighting actually earned them a prize accolade at the Lighting Design Awards back in 2023. So they're all about lighting, but lighting responsibly. Another myth is that we're the lighting police. Definitely not. People will reach out to us and say, oh, my neighbor, oh, this, liquor store down the street, and they expect that we're going to go out there and take care of it. Well, it doesn't quite work like that. What we do is we encourage workable solutions. So we will educate someone on what they can take action. I might go and check it out myself and go down there with them if they want to do that. We have pamphlets. We strive to make friends, not enemies, and that comes directly from one of our founders, Dr. David Crawford, who retired here out in San Diego County. Code enforcement sometimes does need to be called, but that hopefully is a last resort. So what is light pollution? Dark Sky International used to define light pollution as the inappropriate or excessive use of artificial light at night. They recently revised that definition to be that light pollution is the human-made alteration of outdoor light levels from those that are naturally occurring. Now, when most of us are familiar with land, air, water pollution, noise pollution even. Well, if you think about what a pollutant is, by definition, it's something that makes something impure, something that's not naturally occurring. So all this artificial light at night is actually, a pollutant. So we're going to look at a quick video, and I'll step aside for a minute.
It's more than 1 billion cars burning 2 billion headlights. It's argon gas and less than an inch of tungsten metal swinging naked from the ceiling. It's beautiful, at a distance, and blinding the rest of the time. It's sealed glass tubes, mercury, phosphor powder, free electrons and ions bumping and vibrating and dully humming. It's 1898 to 1959, the discovery of neon to the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. It's the Las Vegas Strip. It's the Sunset Strip. It's strip clubs and stadiums. It's streetlights and streetcars. It's malls. It's your work. It's outside your bedroom window keeping you from sleeping. It's insomnia. It's the slow extinction of animals and insects dependent on darkness for migration and mating. It's the device you obsessively check as you walk down the street, raising your dopamine levels while reducing your melatonin. It's a carcinogen. It's one of the reasons women in developed nations are 5 times more likely to have breast cancer. It's looking down instead of up. It's 2/3 of the global population, 5 billion people, unable to truly see the night sky. It's the indifferent blinking out of 200 billion stars. To learn more about light pollution, its impact on our environment and health, check out darksky.org.
Thank you. Okay, so a little more about what is light pollution. There's actually 4 components. You've got glare, light clutter, sky glow, and light trespass. And we'll look at each of those. So here is an example of glare. So it's this excessive brightness that causes visual discomfort. And this is also a really good example of light trespass. So imagine if you live there and this light is outside to try to help you, be safe and secure. But even with a blackout curtain, that light is going to seep in around that window, and your room is going to be really lit up at night. And we're learning more and more. You're hearing in the news, there was just in Martha Stewart daily newsletter, there was something about, the harms of exposure to light at night. Again, now look at this tree, which is all lit up. What if a bird wanted to nest there? That's not going to work out very well with all that light, right? Our urban wildlife. And then we have light clutter. This is bright, it's confusing, an excessive number of lights, and this is just happening everywhere nowadays, as you drive out down the street here. This is unsafe for drivers and for pedestrians also. And then we have sky glow, the brightening of the night sky over inhabited areas. I took this photo when I was dropping off my husband at the airport. This is out by Harbor Drive. Okay, and shout out, how many stars can each of you count in that night sky? Not a one, right? Not a one. So why should I care? There's so many things happening in the world. I've got health issues, kids in school, my job, maybe 2 jobs. Look at the news, politics, war. Why could I even spend a minute thinking about light pollution? Well, we should care because the night sky is simply disappearing. 80% of the world and 99% of Americans can no longer see our Milky Way galaxy because of living under light-polluted skies. The night sky is an important and precious natural resource. Other reasons why we should care is because light pollution impacts wildlife, it impacts our human health, it wastes tremendous amounts of energy, and even if you don't believe in climate change, you probably believe in, not wanting to waste money, right? So you wouldn't run your dryer all night with nothing in it, right? But we have lights all around, and nobody's out there most of the time, right? And then there's the cultural heritage, this aspect of the night sky. You see this picture from Vincent van Gogh, it's everywhere, right? Everyone thinks that's so beautiful. Well, if he lived in the city of San Diego or say Lemon Grove, today, would he be inspired to paint that? Probably not, right? He wouldn't, you can't see that. And then it's also a safety issue, as we talked about. Light pollution not only drowns out the stars, it's harmful, it's wasteful, and it's unsafe. Addressing light pollution has wide-ranging benefits. We solve all those things at once. Here's a picture of the Bortle scale, which is a 9-level numeric scale that measures night sky brightness at a particular location. Well, most of us, unfortunately, sad face, we live over here, right? I'm going to paraphrase and put into a quote something that Dr. Paul Bogart said. He actually wrote that book on that table, End of Night. It's a really fun read. If you haven't read that, that's a good one. We've taken what was one of the most common human experiences, walking outside or being outside and seeing the Milky Way in the night sky, and we've made it one of the most rare. And this is a night sky brightness light pollution map, and this was a simulation. And if you look at the top left over to the top right, lower left and lower right, 2025, that's where we are now. That was a projection, but realistically, that's pretty much what we look like. And here's a little glimpse at the city of San Diego if you zoom in on that map. And the white is the most light polluted. And this is such a shame because we have the ocean where there's hardly any light, and then we have the desert where there's hardly any light. But right between it, look what we've done. It's just such a shame. Light pollution is energy waste. This is a picture I took in my neighborhood, and you could see my neighbor's missing sprinkler. It's all over the sidewalk, running down the gutter, literally money going down the drain, and everyone looks at that and goes, oh, and the city can even cite you for that, But when we think about, light at night, well, light's energy. We should use it, don't lose it. We can light at night and be dark sky friendly, lighting what we need when we need it, no brighter than necessary, and fully shield our lights by pointing them down and aiming it properly and shielding it. Dark sky friendly lighting is also known as, if dark sky makes you a little uncomfortable, it's neighbor friendly, it's environment friendly, it's wildlife friendly, and guess what? It's pocketbook friendly. So light pollution harms all kind of wildlife. We'll touch on a little bit of that. Most of you have probably heard of sea turtle hatchlings going the wrong way. They're supposed to go the ocean from the light of the moon, and instead they go by the gas stations and the condos and get picked off by cars and die of starvation, dehydration. Here's another one most people don't know, frogs. Frogs don't know when it's time to croak. So it affects their mating ritual and reproduction. And you think, oh, who cares? Frogs are slimy. Ew, who cares about frogs? Well, frogs eat a lot of insects, and I know there's insect decline, but we can't win everything. But, there's this cycle, the natural cycles. So, and pollinators. This is a big one. Pollinators can die from exposure to light at night. We've all seen this, but actually, you think about it nowadays, we don't see that many moths flying around lights because there aren't that many moths left because they've all flown around lights and just diminishing. They're just diminishing. There's a study from the University of Cincinnati that came out about monarch butterflies, the migrating monarchs and their miraculous journey. And they said that even a single porch light or street light can impact the monarch's navigational abilities and could cause them to take off in flight when they should be roosting. So, in monarchs, they used to be everywhere. I grew up in Chicago and they were just all over. And now you see a few of them, but not like you used to. So it's like light pollution at its worst, killing off monarch butterflies. And there's also impacts on migrating songbirds. Well, San Diego's on the Pacific Flyway, one of our major flyways. And our city lights can be significantly harmful. Birds can migrate too early or late. Well, what's that matter? A day early, a day late. Well, if birds show up too early, their food supply might not be ready yet. The plants may not have flowered and fruited. Conversely, if they leave too late, other birds that were there might have gobbled everything up, and then those birds don't have access to the food. So migrating early or late makes a big difference. They can wander off course towards bright city lights and land in urban areas where they don't have access to critical resources, like water, shade, plants, things that they need. And then they can have fatal nighttime collisions with windows and walls, posts, wires, all kind of things. In case you weren't aware, 80% of North American migrating species migrate at night. Well, why would they do that? Why don't they just, fly during the day when they can see? Well, one of the differences is the night sky tends to be calmer at night. There's fewer weather events than during the day, so that makes it easier for them to fly. And if you don't know much about bird migration, I suggest reading up on it. What some of these little birds do is actually absolutely astounding. It is absolutely astounding, the feats that they go through. Now, here's another reason. All that flapping, it's a lot of work. It makes you hot. So the night sky is cooler. That's another reason they migrate at night. And moving at night helps them avoid predators like hawks and other predator birds, falcons that migrate during the day. And here's a really sad story. So nearly 1,000 bird deaths, one night, one building. This is Lakefront Center out at McCormick Place in the city of Chicago. And that made international news. It was just a complete outrage. The vendors that were renting the space did not close the window blinds at night. It was optional. It's no longer optional. And also, they have invested about $1.2 million, I believe it was, on polka dot window film, bird-friendly film. And the migration season after they installed that, I think they had like 20 bird deaths. It was like well over like 90-something% decrease in collisions. So that was a success. But a United Nations report had indicated that more than 40,000 birds have died after hitting McCormick Place windows since 1978. I mean, that's just tragic. That's just absolutely tragic. Oh, there's my window film. And the World Trade Center, the 9/11 tribute and light, intended to be a really important thing for those who perished during that. But to birds, birds are perishing because of that. So there's 88 beams of light shining up into the sky, 4 miles. It's visible 60 miles away. And birds get pulled into the light. They become trapped, and they fly in circles until they die. Well, how many birds can actually be in those lights? Again, what's the big deal? How bad can it be? Well, if you take a look over here, let me see if I can point this out. Well, look at the left side where it's like 2 beams, 2 dark beams, this guy here. There were about 500 birds measured by radar in the lights. 20 minutes later, after the lights had been on, there was 500, and there were 15,700 birds. 15,000 birds within 20 minutes circling around in those lights. So again, this was a tragic thing, but New York City Audubon volunteers now go out there every year when this event occurs, and they photograph the beams, count birds, and when the count exceeds 1,000, they turn off those lights for 20 minutes to let those birds escape. And here's a little info about the impact of bad outdoor lighting on nesting habitats. So this is a beautiful place. I actually visited there when I went back to Chicago to see family. This is the Middle Fork River Forest Preserve. It's kind of in central Illinois. And the rangers there were approached by some astronomers from the Champaign-Urbana Astronomical Society, and they said, hey, you guys are a really dark spot on the light pollution map. would you consider becoming an international dark sky park? And the ranger, I heard him speak in Tucson at the annual global conference of dark sky. And so I saw this in person, and he said, change is hard. They're wondering, okay, this is an opportunity, but what's that going to mean for our lights? How much is this going to cost? Are they going to take away the lights? Well, they went forward with the project, and what they found was after shielding the lights, they started seeing birds building nests in the trees by the light. So those birds weren't using those trees because the light was spraying everywhere. Once they shielded the light, birds came and nested. So there was an obvious difference with the lighting. So this I'll ask you to consider the lighting in your own backyard. Shield lights and aim them down. And don't shine light up or out into trees or bushes where birds might want to be nesting or resting. And you want to use soft white amber light, and I'll touch on this later. 2700 Kelvin or 2200 Kelvin correlated color temperature, or CCT, is best. It's a warmer color. Even lower is better. I use a 1800 color temperature light on my porch. And it's not only animals, trees are impacted by light pollution. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is in, I say this was in New York City. I thought this was in New York City, but the source says Florida. But you can see, obviously, where the light from the street light is, those leaves are still on the tree. Again, what's the big deal? The leaves will fall off eventually. Well, it is a big deal because the pores on those leaves are susceptible to disease because they're hanging on when they shouldn't be. So eventually they'll fall off, but that could kill the tree years before it would otherwise, live on. And the other thing that's important to note is we think because fall comes, it's colder and it rains, and that's why the leaves fall off, but it actually has to do with light. And here's a soybean field, and you can see by each street light how the soybeans have not finished their seasonal growth yet. So that is a distinct, difference in how those plants reacted because of those street lights shining all night. Many cactus species bloom only in darkness, and guess what? They're pollinated by small animals, insects and invertebrates, moths and bats that are also harmed by artificial light at night. So it's just light, right? It may seem harmless, it's just light, but light pollution has far-reaching impacts that are harmful to all living things. Now, when I first look at this, you may feel the same way. You look at that and you say, oh, wow, it's pretty. Look at all that light. Isn't that beautiful? That's our world. But when you think about what that is, it's street lights, porch lights, parking lot lights, car headlights, office buildings, commercial signage, government-built facilities, and billboards. What are we doing? Do we need that much light that it's visible from space? We really need to stop light pollution. That starts with responsible outdoor lighting, which reduces light pollution, leads to a better quality of life for all living things. And that starts with a good lighting ordinance. Now, we're not going to go into that tonight, but this is something that we want to think about. Does Lemon Grove have a lighting ordinance? Should we have one? Dark Sky has model lighting ordinance templates available. And you can think of it too, if dark sky makes you feel uncomfortable, think about it as neighbor-friendly, wildlife-friendly, environment-friendly, and energy conservation-friendly. We need night. Now, the dark sky movement isn't about taking away everyone's lights. We already covered that. We need night just like we need sunlight, right? So when the sun's not up, it's been raining, it's like, wow, it's kind of gloomy. I miss the sun. I miss the sun. Well, we don't miss the stars because we've hardly ever seen them, So it's important. And if you think about the sun, how the sun can blind you if you look at it, what if we thought the sun was bad, If I go out in the sun too much without sunscreen, my skin burns. If I keep going out in the sun, my skin will peel off. That's pretty bad, right? Maybe I should put a tarp over my whole backyard and keep away the sun, because I might look at it or it might make my skin fall off, Well, if I did that, then my garden wouldn't grow. I wouldn't have flowers, or plants. What if I did that and my neighbor complained, "Hey, your tarp is blocking my light. My rose bushes are dying." My response is, "Go get a plant light. I need my tarp." It sounds, ridiculous. But isn't that what we're doing with all this artificial light at night? We're shining in our neighbors' windows, and then, we say, "Hey, your light, I'm sitting at my dining room table, and, gee whiz, oh, get a blackout curtain." That's not the answer. That's not the answer. We need night just like we need sunlight. And blue light's been getting a bad rap lately. Don't look at your phone, turn off your computer before bedtime. Well, that same blue light is actually this bright white light. So blue light is good during the daytime, but not at nighttime. And this is what a lot of those articles are coming out more and more about health issues. So you can see the difference here between a soft white bulb and a daylight white bulb. This affects our circadian rhythm, which is our, 24-hour clock, where we need bright days and dark nights in order to stay healthy and keep our internal body clock in sync. There's actually a photoreceptor in our eyes that detects this light, and it really has nothing to do with vision. But just like that tree that its leaves fall off because the light is changing in the environment, it happens with our eyes too. So our eyes tell our body if it's morning, noon, sunset or night, and a whole host of things happen inside of us. We wake up, our mood lifts, or we get tired, when the sun sets and we get that amber light. And it also regulates our melatonin. Now, melatonin isn't just for sleeping. It does affect our sleep-wake cycle, but it also inhibits hunger. And it's an anti-inflammatory, it's a powerful antioxidant, and it also impacts the production of estrogen, which is why science has linked exposure to light at night with breast cancer and prostate cancer, more specifically because those cancers can actually feed, many forms of breast cancer feed on estrogen, and it makes the tumors grow. So it's really important that we not expose ourselves to blue light at night, or even all light, they're learning. And this can impact exposure to light at night, diabetes, heart disease, daytime fatigue, which can lead to accidents, if people, aren't awake, and also poor memory, ability to learn. And recently, they've been linking exposure to outdoor light at night with stroke and Alzheimer's disease. And artificial light at night, as was mentioned, with breast cancer. And I'm going to touch on this before we go a little further, color temperature and brightness. So if you buy a light fixture nowadays, there's a label and it will show the light appearance. And that's where this Kelvin rating is, the color of the light. And you can see the scale going from warm to cool. And energy use. So energy use is measured in watts. Now, we used to say a 40-watt bulb, a 60-watt bulb, and we would know how bright that was in the world of incandescent lighting. So we still use watts to measure energy, but as far as brightness, we don't say, it's a 60-watt. You'll see on the label it might say 60-watt equivalent or 40-watt equivalent. But we actually use lumens when we're talking about the measure of brightness nowadays. And there's an organization called the IES, or the Illuminating Engineering Society. And they actually state and provide information about how much brightness is used in certain situations. And I'll just give an example here. They recommend 840 lumens as an appropriate amount of lighting for a bedroom, and that's equivalent to a 60-watt incandescent bulb. So again, just touching on health, we can, at home, we can, adjust our lights and pick the kind of bulbs that we need. But when we're outside at night, look at this, light, this street light. It tells our bodies, hey, it's daytime, and that's not good. In 2016, the American Medical Association, or the AMA, came out with guidance about these 4,000 Kelvin bright white high-intensity streetlights. And they said we should not be using them because they are a road hazard, they cause disability glare, cause visual impairment. And they have a 5-time greater impact on circadian sleep rhythms. Retinal damage could occur from too much blue light spectrum, and they reduce our sleep, impaired vision, and can impair our daytime functioning. What the AMA recommended for streetlights, and again, this, if you say a street light, it really kind of applies to all light at night in a way, but they were focusing on streetlights because they're so prevalent throughout our society. They're just everywhere. They recommend that they be shielded and be 3,000 Kelvin or less. And you can kind of see the difference in the 3,000 K that I've put on the screen. It's just a little bit warmer color, a little more amber. And there is a really important video. I'll provide the presentation to this group afterwards. There's a lot of references I have on these slides. But you can search for this online, you know, a glowing danger, you know, streetlights. This investigative news story is really honed in on this. And this gentleman here to the right, under the by the local 2, he is actually from the American Medical Association. So. And a lot of cities have moved away from the 4,000 Kelvin LED streetlights. I'll give a couple examples. Davis, California spent $325,000 to retrofit their bright new streetlights after citizen complaints. They said, this is just like a prison. You know, these are like prison lights. They're too harsh. We can't walk at night. It's uncomfortable. I'm wearing a baseball cap to shield the light from the streetlight. So they had a big lesson learned there. And Pittsburgh, which is a dark sky city, they passed ordinances so that they're actually working towards dark sky. And they used 2,700 Kelvin citywide. And interestingly enough, they had some informed data-driven decisions based on a global information, I believe it's Global Information System, GIS. I might be having the, okay. And this GIS mapping also helped them reduce construction costs by millions of dollars. And over to the right, you can see kind of an example picture of how this mapping works. This Avari GIS Consulting, interestingly enough, this is a local consulting firm. And actually the owner, Ari, is actually a Dark Sky member. So I'm not pushing this product because of that, but this is something that's out there. And he does work all over the country. He was involved with the Pittsburgh project. But he's local. You know, we can reach out to him and ask about this. There was a retrofit done right in Pepperell, if I'm pronouncing that right, out in Massachusetts. They went with 2,200 Kelvin LEDs from their high-pressure sodium lights. Another thing they did, which is interesting, and I actually saw this, in Rancho San Diego, you know where the Edwards Theater is? That parking lot has street light dimming in it. Because I was over there getting some chicken fingers one night, and I went to park in a dark part of the lot because I didn't want to eat the chicken fingers when I drove home to City Heights. So I went, oh, it's nice and dark over there. And I pulled over there, and the street light kicked up. I'm like, oh, man. But then it went down. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So this technology's there, and it's being installed locally. So what that project did, they dimmed the street lights to 50% brightness the first and the last 2 hours of night. And then they dimmed it to 30% brightness, so saving 70% of, you know, what could have been used electricity, you know, the rest of the night. And then their electric consumption through this change was reduced by 81%. And also it minimized the sky glow, the light going up, and the harmful blue spectrum light. And there's a couple of references there, but this is really some really key information. So the bottom line, we need sleep. To sleep, we need darkness. Dark is not bad. Dark is good night. I got a little bit more here. So is there a solution to all this light pollution? Well, fortunately there is. The solution to bad lighting is good lighting. Now, Dark Sky does not sell fixtures, but they do certify fixtures. So you can look for this Dark Sky approved label when you go to the store and you're looking for a light fixture, or you can peruse on darksky.org. You can peruse the fixtures, see what they look like, and then when you're shopping, whether it has the label or not, you can see, oh yeah, that's that looks like those dark sky fixtures. I will caution you though, my neighbor got some shielded fixtures, but because they are elevated above me, I still get the light because of the elevation. I sit below them, and the integrated LED was 100-watt equivalent, and they put 6 of them on the front of the apartment building. So 100 watts for a porch light, in my opinion, is too bright. And I bet if I looked that up in the IES, recommendations for lighting a porch, it would probably not be 100 watt for a porch light. But so just caution on that. So we learn to be water wise, we can learn to light wisely. Light pollution is really nothing more than bad lighting habits. You can actually think of it as lighting pollution. It's our lighting that's polluting the night. Unshielded, poorly aimed, too bright, too white, on all night. We can fix bad lighting. We can fix that with 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting. So this came from Dark Sky and the Illuminating Engineering Society. They worked together on this. So light should be useful and placed only where it's needed. We don't want light for light's sake. Just don't slap a light up anywhere. It should serve a purpose to light something that needs to be lit. Light should be targeted, that shields it, and it puts that light going downward. You want to use low level, minimizing brightness. The least amount of light that you need, not the most that you can have. It should be controlled where possible with motion and dimming. I will say something about motion lights though. Actually, I'll share a picture of it later, but motion light, the box shows them like this, right? But that's not how you want to install those motion lights. You want to pivot them downward so they're not shining out and blinding, and we'll look at that. And light should be warm color, soft, amber light. Proper aiming makes a difference. So here we see a lot of these lights. If you look around town, they're installed at a 45-degree angle. And if you look at the Wells Fargo, that's what that looks like. These lights are just blasting everywhere. Now, it didn't look like that to my eyes, but that's how the photo, picked it up. But, it's blinding. And then here on the right side, this is a 90-degree angle, or they call it full cutoff, where it's aimed straight down. I mean, look at the difference. Which ATM would you feel more comfortable approaching? For me, it's the one that I can see at, And shielding makes a difference. So there's 2 little pictures of 2 different kind of street lights. One where on the left there where the bulb kind of sticks out a little bit, so the light goes in all directions. And then over to the right again, that full cutoff. And here's a picture of something similar. This looks like a fire station, and you could see the difference with the blinding glare and then when they shield the light. And there's something called the bug rating. I am not, just like I'm not an astronomer, I'm not a lighting technician, so I don't really know a lot of this, just what I've researched. But this bug rating talks about light that's wasteful. It's backlight, uplight, and glare. And so you could see where the car, and this looks like a woman jogging there, it's only in that particular area that the light is really useful. And when this person's on their front porch, they're getting glare because of the angle, and then the sky's getting sky glow up there. And even behind the light's spilling into those homes. So it's really important. Lighting professionals know all about this, and they can help you make the right lighting choices. Okay, so lighting and crime. So again, we talk about dark sky lighting, and people say, oh, well, I don't want that. When it's dark, there's crime. Well, if you're worried about safety, research urges critical thinking, about lighting and safety. I've done a lot of reading on this. I've also had some personal experiences with this, and my personal experiences reinforce what I'm presenting here. Several of these articles, the first one found no link between lighting and crime, and any link was too subtle or complex to be evident. And the middle one talked about traffic, collisions, and crime. Lighting had no effect, whether it was turned off, dimmed, or shut off during certain hours, like we talked about the street light dimming. It didn't cause accidents to go up or crime to go up. And the bottom one is the one I really like the most. This was a long study by the Department of Criminal Justice at the University of Maryland. Their conclusion was, we have very little confidence that improved lighting prevents crime. Dark Sky actually partners with the National Institute for Crime Prevention, or NICP, and I actually gave a talk, Dark Sky talk, at the U.S. SEPTED conference last year. And they have shared goals of reducing glare, increasing visibility, keeping eyes on the street, and attracting attention with motion activation. And you want to set your sensitivity properly. My neighbor got had a tragic incident with a coyote and their dog, and they went and got a bright motion light for the backyard to prevent that from happening again. Unfortunately, it's set so sensitive that it goes off every time a leaf on the tree moves. So when they first put in the light, I was looking out there. Oh, is there a coyote? Is someone in their yard? Because my yard's right next to their yard. If they're in their yard, they can come in my yard. But after a while, I just stopped looking because the light's on constantly. So think about that. You want that light to attract attention. You don't want it to be the light that cried wolf and people stop looking. And I mentioned SEPTED. Okay, I mentioned SEPTED. That's crime prevention through environmental design. So again, when you're thinking about adding lights or doing a significant lighting project, you want to think about checking out what SEPTED is. That's really important. Street lights can actually increase break-ins. At this study, they turned off street lights from midnight to 5 in the morning, and guess what? Vehicle break-ins went down by 50%. But on adjacent streets, vehicle break-ins went up where the street lights were still on. Why? Because they could see. Criminals can hide in dark shadows. Here we're covering a light with our hand. Well, with that glare, you don't see the person behind the fence. Brighter is not necessarily better or safer. Here in this auto zone in City Heights, the street light never comes on, and the bus stop's completely dark. And I believe that's because of all those lights. The light doesn't realize it's night. And here's somebody with all that bright white light. Who is this person? What color pants are they wearing? What color is that baseball cap? You can't tell because there's too much light. Light gives us the illusion of safety. Are dark sky communities hotbeds of crime? Nope. Julian, Sedona, Arizona, Borrego Springs, there's so many of them. Criminals are not flocking by the busload to dark sky communities to rob just because they're lighting at the night properly. And human night vision, guess what? It only works in the dark or at very low light levels. Our pupil gets bigger to let more light in. After 20 minutes, a protein called rhodopsin improves our focus. It actually takes 30 to 45 minutes for our night vision to fully kick in. And guess what? Bright light spoils it instantly. We'll skip this chromatic adaptation, but you can look this up online, or maybe do it. Look at that. You see the plane, how it looks two different colors on both sides? So stare at that dot in the top between the two boxes. Stare at that dot. You can blink. Go ahead and keep blinking. Stare at that dot for about 20 seconds, and then look back down at the plane. I don't know if it worked for some of you, but our eyes actually adapt at night. And that's probably a survival mechanism. So if you think back when we were cavemen and cavewomen, we were sitting by a fire. That fire was amber light. We needed to know if that liquid was blood or water. We needed to know if that was a stick or a snake, if there were snakes back then. But you get the idea. But you get the idea, right? Is that it's important for us to be able to distinguish color at night. You put on that orange thing on your computer, and right away it's like, oh, it's so orange. But keep looking, and you'll see blue, green, yellow. You'll see. So after sunset, consider lighting with the color of fire. It's relaxing. It's warm. That's what light used to be. Fire pits, torches, candles, gas lanterns. It's a certain ambiance, Downtown La Mesa retrofitted their lights, and they're too bright. They were the wrong lights, and it's a shame that they did that. And smoking was once a bright idea. Doctors recommended it. I can wrap up. Okay. Yeah, I can go ahead and stop. So we'll go through the secondhand smoke, light trespass, good neighbor lighting, and yeah, lights out for birds, yeah, and string lights. So I apologize for that. And so we want to stop wasting light. Every light matters. Do your part and light smart. I thank you for your time and attention. Thank you.
We have to. We can't hear anything on everybody watching online. Um, you're you're good. They'll do it. We have we have our people do that, so don't worry. Um, so one of the reasons, of course, that we are bringing this up is because how many people hear over and over again, light up Broadway, light up Broadway, light up Broadway, right? And we just automatically go, yeah, light up Broadway. But that takes us back to what are the right lights when we're lighting up? And that's going to be something that's important. What we're going to do is move Manola's how to present at a public comment to our December meeting. Just so that everybody knows, because that just makes sense for us right now. But the topic that we just heard was actually really, really important, especially as we are starting our revitalization, right? You don't want to get so far into something and you've wasted money and now you're going to redo it. So at the beginning of our revitalization, this is what we really want to be able to help discuss. So moving into our other area. Oh, yes. and if you missed, not yesterday's council meeting, but the one before, the city is currently working on the lighting here on Broadway. And one of the things that they discussed was brighter LED lights. And that's not necessarily going to be what fixes what we have. And as a reminder, like if you're driving down the street, maybe a lot of people don't realize, but we've actually had multiple poles taken out along Broadway. And a lot of that is drunk driving and stuff like that. But when you're also drunk and you're driving, impaired driving, whatever, how a glare affects you, people actually like aim towards a glare. So that's why there's a lot of head-on collisions, you know. It's because they go towards the lights. So it's I guess a deer in a headlight. That is what happens. But as an insurance person and as IPS who works with a lot of this stuff, this is what happens. So lighting is way more important than we think about or realize. So when we're talking about revitalization, we want to be here to be able to talk to the city as well on what the proper type of lighting is. Don't invest without knowing that. So that is one of the reasons it's important. And we haven't started it yet from the city, but they're going to be moving forward with it. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to have the presentation on how do I go in front of city council or in front of the planning commission to talk about stuff. Which with the holiday delays will be okay, so we'll do it on next month. So I am going to put this here because it was here. So moving on with some of our other areas of focus, Promenade Park update. Everybody better have December 6th in your calendar if you can come out and help. That is our big planting day. So we are very excited for that. Again, we will have the Lemon Grove Forward Club providing refreshments for us. We have people from the Helix Helps coming out from Helix Water District. We have the Wild Ones San Diego that is coming out to help. Our partnerships continue with like Caterpillar Chow Habitat Farms and things like that. So we will have a lot of those other conservation groups. And remember, Xerces Society is providing those plants to us. Lemon Grove bonfire update. We will have a booth there. If there are people who are available to help in shifts on the booth, we would really appreciate any time. Many of us are multiple groups, so we have all of our other groups are also having bonfire tables. So anybody who can help, that means we can also rotate between other other groups that we're in, like I'm Lemon Grove Forward Club, and also doing this. So I have to give up one to do the other. We do have our items to sell there, so we have brought those in so that we can start our fundraising. Fundraising is important because we need to buy things like the banners. Everybody else will have a banner there, and we're not quite there yet. So things like that, make a difference for us with like business cards, other things that branding that helps us out. So fundraising is important. For anybody here who is a business, if you have thought about donating or making any type of donations, please remember that we are a 501c3 now, so it is a tax write-off. Caroling on Broadway, and I'm going to bring Ann up here real quick too. Ann, do you have a second? We are really excited about caroling on Broadway, and we're really bringing a lot of buzz. So here's our second annual. This time we're not doing 2 dates. We are only doing 1, but we are taking it up a notch. We will have Santa. We will have our photo booth. We may have Jules in an elf suit because we all know she owns one and she's small enough. And we have another exciting collaboration, and I'll let Ann tell us real quick.
Yeah, I'm really excited to introduce a new friend of mine who is going to be renting one of our conference rooms during the week to do music therapy for disabled children. And she offered, because she and her husband are both musical, she offered to do a family-friendly sing-along. So her name is Talia, and she's right here, so stand up, wave. And so excited to partner with her. I've watched her YouTube videos, and she's really great. Like, she sings, plays guitar, she's bilingual, and she works really well with children. So we're excited to have you. She's a Lemon Grover, so we're excited to have her here tonight at Revitalize. So we'll imagine everybody showing up here. We're getting everybody ready to go carol, hold our little candles, our lighted candles, and go down Broadway and sing. We're going to have Santa out there in the patio area doing a photo booth. I think Jack's setting that up. And then inside, we'll have hot cocoa, and we'll be ready for our sing-along when everybody's done caroling. So that's kind of the idea for that night. Yes.
I won't talk bad about anybody in here, but she will not be with us this year. And Leslie, who has an absolutely gorgeous voice, she's got her own concert she's doing. She's too good for us now. We don't have our second mic. Yes. So la-di-da. I don't know yet. So Leslie will be performing at Rady's Shell. So, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen next year, Maria. So she's asking if we got the candles and the jingle bells. I have not. Did anybody else get candles and jingle bells? Okay. So hopefully Maria will get those to us. So thank you, because yes, we want the candles and the jingle bells. And if you have your own, please feel free to bring them. And of course, if you want to wear a holiday sweater or anything like that, please feel free. Yes. But yeah, so we're very excited, and we will actually have a lot more children joining us this year. So that'll be really fun and exciting. And the other thing I wanted to mention, you're authorized now through the San Diego Regional Center, right? Yeah, for music therapy. So this is a really big deal. Like, this is a really big collaboration for us to have. And again, it's right here in Lemon Grove. And sometimes we don't realize the talent we have sitting in Lemon Grove until we start speaking to people, right? It really makes a difference. So I'm very excited for that. Our next one is their funding update, and we were working on that grant for the murals from Artreach, and at this time we were not able to complete everything for this last round of funding that ended for this first half of the fiscal year. The good news is they were like, look, Chelsea, this is all that you need. Get it back in, resubmit it, and now we're opening back up for the second part of the fiscal year, and I'm very hopeful on this. So we were missing one tax thing, and this kind of happens sometimes because we are a new nonprofit, and it's easy to overlook something really small. We're still in the game. we still have this time, so we're not too worried about that. But it goes back to, we do need this funding. We would like to have Art Reach be able to get their stuff done. When I write it the second time, I will probably write the grant a little more inflated than our first quote, just because we do know that those prices change, and we'll be able to explain that in there. Working activities. Skip it. Thank you. Yes, okay.
All right, so to be quick with it, but mindful of everyone's time, two things. At our next meeting, we'll do actual work group activities. So the idea is we are no longer going to do share outs at the end of the meeting. I have event slips so you can fill out what event you would have typically shared out to the group. That way we can accurately capture it and get every detail concisely and put it in the follow-up emails that come out after the meeting. So I have event slips if you have events that you were going to share tonight to fill this out. So in replacing the time where we would spend sharing out, we want to actually put that towards work and do working groups, only 15 to 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. But we were going to break out into both the marketing work group and the business engagement work group, letting you guys decide which one you want to go to. And we had some discussion questions for you guys to go over. I'll read them briefly. You guys can kind of think about it for next time. But as far as marketing goes, we have what key messages represent our goals, who's our priority audience, which communication channels will be most effective, and what are 1 to 2 marketing tasks that can be completed in the month. And then it also allows for space for who is responsible. And then our business engagement questions are: which businesses should we build or deepen relationships with first? What challenges or needs our business is experiencing? What outreach approach would work best? In-person visits, scheduling check-ins, partners, and what 1 to 2 engagement actions can be completed this month. Now I know we've had these kind of similar conversations over and over, but that's kind of that issue as well, is there's a lot of talking and not a lot of action coming from it with the groups, which is fine because we're not really allowing the space for you guys to come together and do that work as a coalition. So think about for the next meeting which group you'd prefer to be in, and we'll do the working group portion instead of the share out. And in lieu of share outs, we have event slips now. To wrap it up, thank you again, Kathy, for all that information. I learned a ton. Really great. And then our next meeting will be December 17th, our future meeting, January 21st. And I hope to see people at the Caroling on Broadway. And again, David will be taking over for me with these meetings. You guys are in great hands. And I'm always excited to see the work that comes out from you guys. So thank you. Oh.
If there are questions, if there are something wants to go to, hang back and feel free to come ask. We don't want you to feel like you didn't get that time, so please make sure that the coalition's not walking out the door immediately. We're just being mindful of time that they have. Wait, Jay, the next meeting? Here, this is our new home. Yeah, this is our new home, so we're looking at a permanent thing, and it fits us nicely, and it's kind of cozy, and it's really nice. And we're recording before the city council meetings are even recording. So it's kind of exciting. So, all right, thank you guys so much. And if you have questions for Kathy, of course, she's over there as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And just as a follow-up, the event slips, she will email whatever event that you usually announce here when we go around to tables. She will email that out, and that will go to even a larger group of people. So please fill those out if you have something to announce. And also, you can look at the flyers in our window. If you have a flyer and you want it in the window, just give it to me, and I'll put it up there.
We have extra Caroling on Broadway flyers as well, and stuff on the back table for you guys to take and share out with everybody. But yes, event slips are here, and this is in lieu of share outs because it was really difficult to capture all that information for everyone. Thank you guys.